Hey everyone, and welcome to the next workshop in our 2024 Get Crackin' workshop series. This one is all about fast and easy onboarding with GitLens in VS Code, and it's presented by Chris Griffin, our technical developer advocate, who is joined by Melise Michael, our product advocate. Before we get into the workshop proper, I invite you to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. And I also invite you to leave a comment in case you want to see what topics would you like to see in our upcoming workshops. All right, without further ado, let's hear from Chris and Melise.
Today, we've got an awesome lineup for you. First, we'll dive into identifying the pivotal commits, tracing the evolution of code with line history, which is an amazing GitLens feature. Then we'll take a dive into branching out and committing those unique changes. And Chris will actually show us how to create pull requests right from VS Code. And finally, we'll wrap it up with leveraging issues with the new Jira integration, which is landing in GitLens 15. It is an amazing feature. So we're going to showcase a little bit of that. And you guys also see some sneak peek features that will be landing in GitLens 15 in the upcoming release in May. All right. Without further ado, Chris is going to guide us through one of the ways that GitLens can be used to make onboarding faster and easier for your teams. Take it away, Chris.
All right, cool. So we're going to start off with, let's say I'm brand new on the GitLens team itself, and we're going to be making a change to GitLens. I don't know the code base that well. I have practiced this a little bit, so I do know it at least better than zero. But let's just pretend that I have this task I was given, and I want to try and jump in and be productive without necessarily wasting the time of the entire rest of the team by reaching out and asking them questions before I've done at least a little bit of research. So the task that we were given that we have here in Jira is add other AI provider. Other AI is something like OpenAI or Anthropic or whatever. It's just a fictitious AI provider that we want to wire up to some of the AI stuff that we have in GitLens. Some of those things are explaining some of the changes in a commit or generating a commit message. So we're going to take this idea and we're going to start off first in looking at what we might do from the command line. So let me just clear this buffer so it's a little chiller and easier to see. Refresh this. And what we're going to do is maybe do a git short log -s-n. So this is just going to do a summary of all the commits that people have done and then sort them by the amount of commits. And we can kind of see that there are three major contributors to this project: Eric Amodio, Keith Dalton, and Ramin Tadian. And, you know, statistically, Eric Amodio is probably going to be the person that we reach out to. But we still want to double check and make sure that that's correct before we start wasting his time. We don't really get any context of how recently they've made changes or what changes they've been making in the code base. So this doesn't help us out that much. It just gives us like a little taste. So instead, let's try and do a git log. When we do a git log, we get a lot more context of what the commits are. Like the commit messages and the descriptions are there. We get the timestamps. We get a lot of that, but it goes deep. It's really long. And, like sorting through this manually could be pretty tedious. You could definitely use something like grep. I am not as savvy with grep as I would like. I'd have to go look at the manual and read up on the arguments I would need to figure out where to find things in this. So personally, I would be kind of like yak shaving myself away from the task at hand, which is to create this provider. There's another git log shortcut that I found. If you search for a better git log on Google, you'll totally find the the alias that this makes. And it's just git log with some extra arguments on it that kind of gives us a more condensed view of what's happening. So we still get commit messages here, we get the time, and we get even like the hashes, but we get it, in a more scrollable and easy to read quickly fashion. But this isn't interactive. We have no way of actually inspecting what happened in these commits. We don't know what files were changed, none of that. So instead, we'd have to copy and paste this and then probably go look at whatever git command would be used to inspect the details of a commit. And I don't know that offhand, so I'd have to go spend more time in the manual trying to figure it out. So instead, if we hop over to GitLens, and let me just close this out, pretend I started from scratch there. We're going to say, maybe look at the commit graph here. We hop over to it, and we can get a, kind of like a broader view. It looks similar to what we were just seeing, but it has like the branching factors and stuff like that. We get, descriptions of the commit here on the right. I personally like to pop it out to the larger window here. And in this larger window, we can scroll through and see things. But what we also get is the ability to search. So if I type in OpenAI, we can see that there are 12 things changed. 2 of them from a completely separate branch I've done for a different thing. We'll ignore that for now. But what we can see is that one of the most recent relevant commits is it adds Gemini models to AI features. That sounds right up our alley, right? We can assume that other AI is similar to Gemini or Anthropic or any of those things. So this might be the commit that we want to inspect. So let's right-click it and do Open Details. There's plenty of ways to get to that. And what we can see is there's an AI provider service, and we see 3 providers, one for Anthropic, one for Gemini that was added in this commit, and one for OpenAI. One thing that we can do is we can actually use AI, OpenAI currently with the key that I have set, to explain these changes for us. Now, this does take a second, so we're going to let it run a bit. What it's doing is it's grabbing all of the diffs and everything, like the file names and all that stuff, and it's sending that context to OpenAI right now. So it can take a bit of time, but I do think it was worth showing this off because I think it's actually a really powerful feature. Because if we look at it, the commit message and description is not that verbose. Sure, it adds models to AI features. It also adds the latest OpenAI and Anthropic models. But when we finally get the response back, we can see that there's a lot more context added for us. And, this can just help us understand things rather than having to go through those files line by line to understand things. So that's pretty cool. So what I'm thinking is we probably want to at least look at the AI provider service here. And we can see the diffs from this commit. But if we were to maybe open this file itself, without the diff stuff kind of being a bit noisy for us, we can kind of look around. We can see the inline blame telling us, with this line, Eric edited that 13 months ago. He split the AI service into providers. So I guess at one point there was only one provider supported. Then he split it out into multiple support. And, we can kind of look at some of that. But we can also get some other context too. So if we look at the file history here, we can see all the commits that have been made to this file. We can see where the file was even created, denoted by the green instead of the white here. So that gives us a little bit of context, and that's pretty cool. But what if we wanted something more visual, right? We can pop open the visual file history here and bring that out to the main window. And if we bring that time frame to the full history of this file, we can see what the most impactful commits have been to this file. And that's actually pretty useful. It would be even more useful if we saw like other people making, additions or deletions to this, but pretty much Eric is the subject matter expert for this. So that does help us know that if we have questions about this file, we probably want to reach out to Eric. So now that we know that, this file is related to it, let's actually look inside of that because that might give us a little more insight. What we can see is that there is an interface for an AI provider, and there's a prop that is that interface type here as like on the service itself. So my guess is that we would have the AI providers implementing this AI provider interface, and then that would be set here as a prop on this class. But let's go look at those and double check. So as we look at it, yep, my hunch was correct. AI provider with a string type that gets passed into it, and cool. So if we want to make our other AI provider, all we probably want to do for now, at least for the sake of this demo, is just copy and paste the file and rename it to other AI provider. And again, for the sake of the demo, we're not going to actually implement all of the things that need to be done for this. We're just going to do a quick and dirty find and replace of OpenAI to other AI. And we probably want to do it for the capitalized version as well. And we'll pretend that none of those red squiggles are there because, this is demo purposes. So now that we have this file, we probably want to start thinking about committing our changes. Now, remember that you could always use the command line for, creating your branches, doing some of that. But for people unfamiliar with Git, maybe it's easier to do it from within GitLens. So I at least wanted to show that process. So here, what we might want to do is go to branches, and we will create a new branch. And we're going to name this GLW1. And I'm actually going to do a quick sidebar to show you why I'm naming this branch GLW1, but we do want to create it and switch to it. The reason I'm doing that is we might want to configure our auto links. And that is one of the powerful Jira features that we're going to have and showcase kind of like at the end of this a bit more. But this is where, as an auto link, it's going to go check this stuff right here. It's going to grab this prefix, and then the number is going to get inserted into here. And it's going to do a lookup at Atlassian or Jira for us to actually then populate some extra metadata into our commits for us later too. So pretty cool stuff. Wanted to make sure I showcase that because it's pretty interesting to me. So now that we have that branch created, what we want to do is just add that. So we add the other AI provider file. It is now in our stage changes. And we're going to use another pretty fun feature, which is generating the commit message. It's going to take the diff, send it to OpenAI, and have it format it for us in a specific way. So now we see that because I have already modified my prompt a bit, it gave me a conventional commit with that feat : add OpenAI provider integration. For the sake of, making sure the auto links work, I'm going to do it this way, but I don't think that's required. I'd have to keep double checking that part. But we add that to our commit message, and we add some auto-generated descriptions, and it even says resolves if applicable, and we probably want to actually give it like a different resolves number. But we're not on GitHub, and I don't know about Jira wiring that up specifically, so instead we'll just commit without it. So now that we've got that, we want to save the file, because I forgot to do that. The file gets saved, and we're good to go. So now we probably want to push that branch up. So let's publish it. We're going to push it to the origin because we want to, make a pull request from my fork to the original upstream project. And now that we've made that commit, we probably want to create a pull request from it. So we're going to create a pull request there. And what that ended up doing, and it opened up in the wrong window. 1 second. If I drag this over, we can see that it started the creation process for the pull request. And this is where we'd probably want to fill things out for the template that they have set and all of that stuff. We're going to move on past that for now and just create pull request. And there we go. So now when we move back to the editor here, we can look at the commit graph. And we can see that my changes are in there. And yeah, let's pop this up to the big one again. So boom, we see our branch. We see that we are maybe out of date. So we might want to pull in some of the stuff from the latest. So we are out of date with the upstream. That's something that we didn't fix here yet. But we can see that our commit is right there. And if we were to look at it over here, we can actually see some extra context in the auto links. So our GLW-1 custom auto link is there. And if we were to click that, that also opened up in the wrong window, just due to how I have my screen set up. We bring this over. We can see that it took us right to the Jira task that we have set for that. So that is the auto links and Jira integration working for us. One last thing before I am done with what we're showing here is I think this is pretty cool. I'm going to close some of these, and I'm going to bring up the output. So if you are trying to learn and understand Git a bit better, you can actually go to the output tab of the terminal or the inspector or whatever they call this, and you can grab the GitLens filter, and you can kind of see what commands GitLens has been running for us. And these are the actual Git commands. So git log -z, that's what they're running to get that commit graph, and some other things involved, and then some pretty stuff to style it. So if you want to master Git a bit better, it might be worth it to see how GitLens is running Git commands for you. So yeah, I found that interesting. I hope you do too. So yeah, I think that wraps it up. And I'm going to hand things back to Melise.
Great. Thanks for taking us through that, Chris. That was awesome. And I saw we did get a few questions in, a few about the AI. And correct, the AI is able to be disabled, and it's opt-in as well. And I believe we shared some more details around our security and admin controls in the chat. And it looks like we have a few other questions.
Let me just jump in. So basically, the AI feature that I just used won't work at all without adding a key. So if you don't have a key inside of VS Code, there's nothing that's going to be sent out to it.
Even better. Great. Cool. I did want to showcase some other things real quick because we do have GitLens 15, which is landing, and some of the features that you guys just saw Chris utilizing, they're on the pre-release version of GitLens. So let me show you real quick how to access that if you're not familiar with it. Let's see, window. Great. Chris, can you see my screen here?
I can.
Awesome. So to get over to the pre-release version, which some of the features you just saw, like the Jira integration, those are all available on the pre-release version. If you go to the extension GitLens right here, you can toggle between the release version and the pre-release version and access and get a sneak peek at some of those GitLens 15 features. Now, since I have the pre-release version enabled here, let's go ahead and take a quick peek at the GitLens integration for Jira. To get that enabled, you come down to your GitKraken account over here. If you don't have one, you can go ahead and create a GitKraken account. You click Cloud Integrations. It'll take you to gitkraken.dev. And from there, you can manage all your integrations. So you can see right now, I don't have Jira Cloud connected. So let's go ahead and connect it.
We do only see VS Code right now.
Oh, you do only see VS Code. Okay, let me go back. Let me get you guys a full screen. All right. So from VS Code right here, Cloud Integrations, click it, open. Takes you directly to gitkraken.dev. And then from here, we can add the Jira Cloud integration. Going to go ahead and connect that. And then once that's connected, you can manage any of your integrations from here, but right within VS Code, you'll actually see the auto links and Jira integrations appear. So I can actually see I had one selected right here. There we go. So I can actually click this and boom. Takes me right into Jira for that issue. One other cool thing I want to showcase as well that is landing in GitLens 15, which is really awesome, is let's go over to a file here. And let's open Command Palette, Command-Shift-P or Control-Shift-P if you're on Windows, and we can go ahead and open Launchpad. So Launchpad is really neat. It actually, personally, it helps me achieve more and go faster with my workflows. You can prioritize and consult and see consolidated PRs, issues, and works in progress from multiple repos all from here. So it's a quick way to access any of your issues that you want to kind of prioritize and see exactly what you need to take next steps on. This is a great tool that's going to be landing in GitLens 15 as well. Cool. All right, well, those were a few of the main things I think we wanted to showcase. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. Let's see. Great. And let's get into some of the actual questions too. How to switch GitLens AI model. Let's see. Chris, I think, did you walk through that one or did you want to answer that?
So I didn't show how to do it, but you would basically do it with the, Command-Shift-P or Control-Shift-P. Like there is a switch AI model provider, thing for GitLens. So it's pretty easy. You can just decide if you want to use Anthropic, Gemini, and it'll then allow you to select like the model itself as well. And I can show that on screen. I think that would be useful. So one second. So we should be able to see my VS Code here. If you do Command-Shift-P, and then you were to do something like GitLens switch AI model, for pretty much any GitLens specific command, if you just start typing GitLens, you can then start to like search through like your most recently used ones and then all the other commands that are available to you. So yeah, the command palette is really powerful and should probably be part of like your VS Code workflow in many cases. So here we would maybe switch AI model. We could do GPT-4 Turbo, Turbo Preview. We could switch to Anthropic or Gemini. So pretty useful feature. Was there anything else that we wanted to showcase here in the editor from the questions?
Let's see. We do have a question. How to go back in history. Could showcase revision history, or you can showcase the commit graph just in general. It might be good to actually show the right click on the commit graph as well. That provides a lot of contextual information.
Okay. Yeah. So we click over to here. We click commit graph. And then let's just say, I'm going to pop it up to the bigger window again. Let's just say we want to inspect, any of these. So if we were to right click, we could actually go and reset the current branch to that commit. If we wanted to remove other things and maybe try and see like when a feature was failing, things like that. We could also create patches to that one commit as well. There's a lot of like value in the context menu here when you right click a commit, and just seeing like the general history in the commit graph is incredibly useful.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Oh, I see a question. Any support for self-hosted AI? That's actually one of the commits that you saw when I was looking through the commit graph. I had a branch in which I was trying to wire that up, and I have some decent results, but it will require like changing the prompt that you send to the AI. I was messing around with LLM Studio locally, and that was pretty fun. So yeah, hopefully that will be able to ship soon, maybe after GitLens 15 and things have died down a bit. We might be able to prioritize that feature.
Yep. I did see one of the chats pop up that mentioned showcasing a timeline. You could mention that activity minimap at the top, which kind of shows a timeline of your repo history right there as well. This is a super useful tool. And if you click on any point in time, it'll jump you right back to that location as well. It's great for monitoring too, to see the amount of commits that have happened over the progress of a project as well. So really good insight there as well. And then I saw Pranish had a question. Can we connect VS Code with a private GitHub repo from Git or using GitLens? You can. So a lot of the features that you're seeing here are available within GitLens for public and local repos. And then if you want to connect a private repo, you can start a trial and actually go ahead and use it on the trial as well. So this looks great though, Chris. I think one other thing, showcase the right click since you have control over the window. If you right click on any of the commit messages, we get a nice context menu that gives you the ability to revert, switch to commits, create a branch from those directly. A lot of power in the contextual menus here. And one other thing I did want to call attention to is if you right click on a branch, you also get ability to merge, reset, rebase from there as well. There's a lot of power using the context menu. So that's something that we typically, I forget even exists as well. So just kind of great to cover that and showcase that as well. Yeah, but I think that kind of concludes everything we wanted to showcase during this workshop. I highly encourage everybody to go and download install the extension and try the pre-release version if you haven't already. And as mentioned, Pranesh, a lot of these features you can try via the 7-day trial as well. So I encourage you to jump into a trial, give them a try, see how you like them, and explore some of the other features that GitLens has to offer. Utilizing the command palette too. And also, if you open the command palette and you type welcome, you can open the GitLens welcome page, which will give you a ton of additional information about GitLens features, updates, and all kinds of walkthroughs and tutorials you can discover and find in there. I think that would kind of conclude everything. We can go ahead and wrap it up. Chris, was there anything else you want to add? Or?
No, I think that's it. I really appreciate you all joining today and letting me rant at you about GitLens. And I hope you enjoyed and learned something. So thank you.
Absolutely. And we look forward to you guys joining on our next workshop, which should be in May. So make sure to tune in for that. It may be GitKraken desktop features, or it might be more GitLens stuff that you can discover and learn about here at GitKraken. So again, thanks everyone for taking the time out here today. We really appreciate you joining us here.